to the No Show. I am here with Boston Sadowe, the president of FBLA Arizona. Remember, it's an unscripted, informal show, so I'm super glad that everybody came to view it and super glad that Boston came out. So, Boston, tell us a little about yourself.
So my name is Boston Sidaway. I am the state president of FBLA Arizona this year. I've been in FBLA for 4 years, and for 2 of those, I've been a state officer. But more importantly, I'm the #1 no-show fangirl. I'm always voting on the story, commenting. I'm fully invested in the show, so I'm super excited to be here.
Okay, so looking back at freshman year, could you imagine yourself as the Arizona FBLA president? That's huge.
I think about this all the time, actually. Literally, I'll just be laying there, and then I'm like, wait a second, I'm the president. And the fact that, people know me as the president who maybe I don't know is, super weird. But I remember, being a freshman and being at state, and we went into a show the last night, and the only seats left were right by the state officers, and I was like, I can't sit there. I can't sit right next to the state president, and I was sitting next to Jaime Perez, and I was like, oh my gosh, I hope I'm not bothering him. It stressed me out so bad. And to now think, that 4 years later, that's me. If I went back and told myself, I would not believe it. It's insane.
Yeah, no, because I remember I answered the phone call to Boston. I'm like, oh, shh, it's the president speaking. It's the president. And I answered. I love doing that. It's the funniest thing ever.
That's our joke is it's the
I know.
president.
And then I don't know if you remember this, Boston, but there was this stressful time. I think it was after making the POW or something. And everybody was stressed out in the lobby. And you came down a little bit after. And I was like, everybody, it's the president. Rise, rise. Only Alex rose with me because I thought it would be a funny joke. But yeah, everybody was stressed. So it might have not been the best time to have that little joke.
No, constantly. We'd be at breakfast. Everyone, Madam President is trying to speak. That's Noah's thing.
So let me ask you, how did you create yourself into being seen as the leader of the state officer team before the positions were announced?
I think it's all about initiative. That's something I value in other people so much that I always try and do it myself, I don't know if you remember, well, it wasn't that long ago, so you probably remember, but I just try, if a project came up, if there was an assignment, obviously I had the experience to be helpful, so I just tried to take that initiative and guide everyone. But I think what really has helped me become a leader over the years the most is I'm very much myself all the time. I don't know, maybe you agree with that or maybe you don't, but I would say that I tend not to go into speech mode like you talk about. I'm very much what you see is what you get. I talk like myself. I'm really friendly. So I think connecting with all the team members and them knowing exactly who I am from the get-go was super helpful.
Well, Boston, I'm being honest, whenever we were doing the Q&A before we even were state officers, you're just so intimidating. The way that you answered every single question and the way that, I don't know, you also had this face that just showed yeah, I don't really like you.
My resting face is so mean. I'm not even going to do it, but that's what I get all the time is people are like, well, I was so scared of you, but once you come up and have a conversation with me, you're least scary person ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I completely agree with what you said about the initiative. I think that the one thing, I don't know if, well, yeah, you probably remember this too, but when you started the band and started sending out announcements, since you were the leader and you started that band, I think that's what made you be seen as the leader of the group already.
Well, I think that's an interesting thing about Arizona is we all get a chance to be president, which, some part of me doesn't part of me wishes we got elected to our positions. And in other ways, it's a really great way to shape the team dynamic naturally instead of starting out that way, which is really cool.
Yeah, I like the way that Arizona does it because sometimes people could have a phenomenal campaign, and then campaign for presidency, but then they can't be a good president. So I'm glad that they give us a month and a half or something where the state officer team could decide who makes the best president.
It's a trial period. You can return the state officer team in 30 days.
I know it exactly. Okay, so to steer our attention a little bit away from the presidency and more to our state officer training. So how did the state officer training build you into being the president needed for this year's state officer team?
So many lessons were learned at that training. I think so many good things happened, and I've definitely made some unexpected friends. Me and you, we talked a little before. We don't really click as well virtually. And then once I met you and other people in person, I was like, oh my gosh, we're best friends, But it was also a lot of learning curve. You don't just step into a team like that and automatically know what to do. And it almost was all of a sudden oh, eyes are on me. I need to know what's going on. So it definitely shaped me to be a lot more decisive and a little bit more like more of a guiding force in the team rather than a friend while still maintaining that friendship. I loved training though.
Yeah, because whenever we used to do things like no, virtually, we were so like formal with each other. Like
Yeah.
all of our messages, if we look back at them, they'd all be like really formal and FBLA mode type thing. You know, we always have like this FBLA voice that comes out with us whenever we talk to like other FBLA leaders from state off or from like other states as well. We always had that FBLA voice, and that's what we both brought out until we were in person. When we were in person, we became like really close with each other.
I mean, I agree, but also we did low key make fun of each other so hard in the group chat. Y'all,
Actually,
I
yeah,
called
I
him
forgot. Yeah,
thickhead one time and I'll never live it down.
I forgot about that. That was like, yeah, that was really funny. That's how our team honestly like became so close by making fun of each other. That's how like we became
True.
all really close like friends.
Yeah, I agree. Like, if we had like kind of broken the ice with that, I don't know, like if we would be as good friends now as we are.
Especially me with Jared. Whenever he used to make height jokes to me was the funniest thing ever. I thought that was like so funny because I never knew this guy. And then the first time, like he didn't really unmute a lot. And then whenever I finally got to like really hear him, he was like, "Yeah, it's because you're short, Noah." And I'm like,
No, the
"Okay."
first thing he ever said was, "You're shorter than my mom."
Yeah, that was it.
So funny.
And then I think he tried recovering as well. It was funnier too because the way that he was trying to backtrack because it's like, wait a minute, I probably shouldn't have said that. He didn't even really do a good job at backtracking. It was so funny.
He was like, "Well, I guess you know my personality now." I was like, "Okay, Jared, calm down."
All right, so to continue with the state officer training, and I asked Allison a couple things as well because I had her on the show. Give us your best moment from the state officer trainings that you think was your favorite.
Oh man,
I know it's a
trying
hard
to
one.
think. Um, Probably one of my favorite things we did was actually the very first night we did a goose chase, which is like a scavenger hunt around the hotel. I don't know, like I had a lot of favorite moments, but I definitely felt super like connected to you guys and we're kind of like running around and the competition against the other CTSOs almost made us like more bonded because we were like, "Oh, we have to beat them." And I remember I tripped over your foot on our way to one of the things. Like I totally biffed it. But I feel like that's kind of what made us friends low key.
Yeah, that was really funny because we were trying to like sneak out. I don't know why, but we were trying to sneak out, and then she just completely tripped. It was so funny.
Yeah, we're literally trying to spy on the other teams, and instead I like face planted on the hotel floor. So
I think my favorite moment had to be that dinner that we went to where we were bonding with all the other CTSOs. And then I remember what was so funny about it is that a couple of us got our plates. And the one thing about our state officer teams that we're supposed to wait for whenever everybody gets their plates until we could start eating. And like a couple of us got our plates. I never got my plate. And I thought someone stole my dinner. I was like, are you kidding me? And I got so frustrated. But looking back at it, it makes it like the funniest moment that we had, like we shared. And we had so many funny moments.
literally, don't mess with Noah's food, y'all.
Oh no, I remember I
Nasty
ate like
man.
Alex's, like I ate my pizza and I ate half of Alex's as well. I was like, you know what? Alex is not gonna finish this, so I ate her.
Every dinner. Hey, anyone want to go get thirds with me? That's with you every single day.
I know I always get thirds because they had like this buffet. I'd be like, wow, if this is free food, I'm definitely gonna go get thirds. Okay, well, Boston, thank you so much for coming on the show. She's actually going to come on again later as well. So, for another special episode, I don't want to get into it because I want it to be more of a surprise. But thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to be on the No Show. And I'm glad that you did do this because I know that you're the president and you're super busy. So, thank you, Madam President.
Yes, thanks Noah for having me on. I'm like, this is like definitely the funnest show I've ever been on. So
Yeah.